Well, welcome to Module 4. The course is 80% done. Doesn't seem possible, but it's been fun. Your work has been phenomenal. I really appreciate the hard work that you put in. This one is an area that I'm a little bit less familiar with, but I am excited about it. This is our ethnographic methodology process. Ethnography is a powerful technique. It comes, as your syllabus points out, comes out of anthropology, sociology, and social psychology. It is an attempt to understand what is going on in a culture, not just a group or not just phenomenologically with a person, but in a culture. One of the people that is mentioned in the syllabus, I think very highly of. If you want a good introduction to how ethnographic work is done, type Margaret Mead into Google and you'll find yourself with some really fascinating stuff. She was a genius and way ahead of her time. Okay, one of the readings that I'm a little disappointed in because we don't have it, and it was not in the book that I was told we were supposed to use, is an article by a Henfler, H-A-E-N-F-L-E-R. He's a professor at the University of Mississippi. But his book is also a little bit dated. So what I did was went ahead and came up with an article. And first of all, I came up with a critique of his book, which I will send this, and I will couple to that an article on this straight-edged method. Now, they call it a method. My reading about it tells me it really is a subculture. It's a rather interesting subculture. Some would actually call it a counterculture, meaning you have the heavy metal culture. You have folks that were involved with headbanging music, drugs, alcohol, and lots of other nasty things. They stay with the heavy metal music, but they say the straight edge part comes from the fact that they're not doing drugs, they're not using alcohol, they're not leading a very licentious lifestyle. And I find that interesting. I hadn't done that much with it, found it interesting. In the article, I do apologize, the language is a little rough. It's not something you haven't heard if you were on campus at Morgan or some other four-year school recently. Unfortunately, what I hear on that campus curls what little hair I have left sometimes. But the point is, these are good articles, and you can use them in responding to the assignment. Okay, our discussion board for this particular week, again, is focusing more heavily onto the technology of qualitative research. Some of the things that you use in ethnographic research are tools that you might not use really in any of the other qualitatives. But from time to time, people are interested in doing ethnographic research. And I would not be at all upset. We have quite a collection of people who could deal effectively with ethnographic research. One of our colleagues is from Kenya. Another colleague is from Liberia. A third colleague, it must be a family member, perhaps a significant other, has some reason to be involved in Jamaica. Any one of these could be a very good, in fact, the gentleman who's going to Jamaica has asked permission to do his study on an ethnographic immersion because he will be there for a while. And on these 24/7, what we call those, at least in sociology, is a total immersion experience. And they're very helpful. I tried to do that a couple times, and it's a little hard to do because unless you're going to be there for a while, you find yourself stumbling over behaviors that the people who are there say, well, of course that's how we do it. Is there another way? And you discover, obviously, that the cultures are different, and there is. So the other thing that we want to look at in this one is going to be some of the stuff that's coming up in Module 5. The first assignment, a relatively short, 3 to 4 page assignment, that's the one that you can be most flexible with. In fact, some of what you're doing in 4 can comfortably bleed over into 5. But the last assignment, I'm bringing this up now because it's my general sense that we may not need to have another YouTube for Module 5. But what I'm interested in, if you look very, very carefully at the requirement, the last requirement, it's, I believe, a 30-point assignment, where what you're doing is putting together a proposal, a research proposal. I think they use the phrase dissertation proposal. That doesn't bother me, that's just fine. But I suggest that you look at it now. Think back on what you've done in the preceding 3 weeks. Look at what you're going to do this week, because this could be very helpful. I just finished a very enervating experience with another cohort. They were we called them, lovingly, we called them the guinea pigs of the 611 course, EDHE 611, which we kind of used we made the mistake of ready, fire, aim, and we changed it. The thing that came out of it that was helpful, those that preceded them had sort of had to put their concept paper together on their own. And that's tough. I'd never seen that in any other program that I'd been part of. So to make a long story short, if you look at what is being requested there, that research study, follow the design that's there. That is put together pretty much by Dr. GK, who is our program director. And frankly, she reads every dissertation. She reads every one before it goes to the department head or to the graduate school. So you want to know what she's looking for. And a lot of times when they took phase one of dissertation research was when the first concept paper was written. Now we'll be writing phase two. I like to think it's phase two. In 611 when you take it. This should be draft one of your concept paper. Now, does that mean you won't have to make even a topical change? It's possible. I'm not going to lie to you. It could happen. One of the students on whose committee I serve came up with what I thought was a brilliant idea, but no one else in the department thought it could be done. But I will give GK credit. I told the young lady, we're going to write this up. Once you're Dr. So-and-so, we're going to write this up because I think it's a book. It has a real potential as a book, particularly in the immediate area of the Baltimore-Washington corridor. And GK said she would agree to act as a second reader, if you will, even as an editor, because she agrees also, just doesn't think that it is a viable dissertation to get it done that quickly. I'm going a little bit afield, only because I think you're at that stage now where your dissertation topic should be coming into focus. And you ought to be thinking seriously. One of the other things that you configure after you get into 611 is your committee. And I think it's important that you think about that right now, too. Of the classes that you have had, who of the people that are eligible, and I might just say a word about that. Dr. GK, of course, Dr. Rogers, she co-chairs, but is a tremendous lady to work with. Dr. Carolyn Anderson, Dr. Ball, Calvin Ball, Dr. Calvin Woodland, and I believe that Dr. Blendima can sit with and do these dissertations. I can serve on a committee. Many of your other professors can serve on a committee, but we can't chair because we are not full-time tenure track people at Morgan. It's all right, not a problem. The committees I'm working on right now, I'm excited about it. I don't feel there's any problem that I'm not a chair. In fact, I'd really rather not be a chair. But I can certainly provide a lot of useful insight, and that's occurring. I'm not asking for any more committee assignments from any of you. I'm just saying, if you had a real good course, for example, with Dr. Jim Ball, I did miss somebody, Dr. Henry Lincoln chair. But if you had some of our wonderful part-time folks and you want them on the committee, feel free to ask. The other thing that you can do with the committee is you can bring someone in from the outside. Let's say you're working in a program or working for a college, and you have a person that is knowledgeable about your subject. You've used them as a sounding board already. Ask them to serve. The only criterion that pertains is that they must have an earned doctorate themselves. That's not such a big deal, given the level of work that all of you do. Of course, the other thing is they won't be paid, but that's, from my way of thinking, it's not a big deal. The first 3 doctoral committees I served on at Morgan, since I served on them serially, I served on one and it ended. I served on a second and it ended. And then I just served on the third, which just ended. You have to have 5 of them going at the same time, pretty much in the same place for pay. But those are the kinds of things you need to be thinking about now, because what it will do, frankly, is expedite, and you will finish in the requisite 3 years. Thank you. Great pleasure working with you. And I end the way I always end, which is I'm only as far away as the phone or the email.